Hey guys, it's Tom here from Pro Direct Running, and today we're at the New Balance head office in Manchester to talk about one of the most exciting upcoming super shoe releases. It's the New Balance Supercomp Elite V3. So Jake, we've obviously got a lot of very exciting shoes on the table that we're going to talk about in a minute, but first of all, it might be nice for anybody watching to get a little bit of a background into yourself.
Sure.
And what exactly your role is here at New Balance.
So my name's Jake. I'm originally from South Africa, but made my way across to the UK in 2021, and I work as a category manager in running specific footwear specific running product. And basically what we do is we work directly with the product and development teams at our head office in Boston, and we facilitate and create the ranges and the products that sort of come into the EMEA or Europe or EMEA as we call it.
Perfect. And yeah, I mean, one of the main reasons that we're here is to talk about the Supercomp Elite V3, continuation from the RC Elite V2 and New Balance's top tier carbon plated racing shoe, which, all the range at the moment. I would love to know more about the shoe and more about the history of the shoe, and how we ended up from, going from RC Elite to Supercomp and that whole series. It'd be amazing to know how that whole thing came about.
So I think the first thing that's notably different is the name change, and importantly, from 2022 onwards, the Elite is going to join New Balance's line of Supercomp products. That's going to include the Supercomp Trainer, the Supercomp Pacer, which is a lower stack, closer to a racing flat option, and a high stack daily trainer, still encompassing our premium fuel cell technology, premium fuel cell foams and carbon plates, and debuting a really exciting new technology we're calling Energy Arc, which we'll get into the details of later. I think what that'll do is that'll create a stronger ranging affiliation with the customer to understand, this is New Balance's premium range, and continue to evolve, what's come out as a really strong carbon plated racer to create a range that encompasses a daily weekly rotation, or has an offering for all sorts of runners.
And if we touch on the RC Elite V2, which was obviously a very popular shoe, I've got hundreds of miles in a pair of these, and I've loved using them for a variety of different things. It's in the middle of marathon training, banking 22-mile long runs in them has been amazing. I raced the big half in them earlier this year, and I found it to be arguably the most comfortable super shoe on the market.
Yeah.
But I'm aware that some people may have referred to the RC Elite as being a friendly super shoe, right? A shoe which is very comfortable, but maybe wasn't quite as aggressive as some of the competitors out there. And I believe that you guys didn't take too fondly to that, because you want the fastest marathon racing shoe, of course. So on that topic, how have you crafted the Supercomp Elite V3 to not only carry over those same favourable characteristics that people loved about the RC Elite V2, but bring it to that next level and compete on that aggressive scale too? So
I think there's two important factors to consider when looking at a comparison between the two products. I think basically when you look at it at face value, it's an entirely new product in the sense that the upper's redesigned, the midsole, the geometry, the aggressive nature and design, the rocker-like motion, all of it has sort of been completely revolutionized and made, sort of, for lack of a better term, more aggressive in terms of its sort of punch towards the athlete. And I think that is due to a dual approach. The one is the product itself evolving in terms of where we've come from and where we are, as well as our ability to sort of test it in our new high performance track at New Balance in Boston, which allows us to give live feedback from athletes and really gear it towards results orientated shoe that looks at every single element in terms of how do we make it faster, how do we make it more what people are looking for in terms of that race day punch.
If we start from the bottom up perhaps and take a look at the outsole, one of the biggest noticeable changes to me was the size of the groove that you've got in the outsole here, and obviously it revealing the Energy Arc carbon plate in there. It would be amazing if you could speak a little bit to that change in geometry and why exactly it was chosen.
So I think again there's multiple sort of aspects to touch on here, but most notably is the void. You know, a really aggressive void has been an important factor in contributing to the energy return and overall ultimate goal of efficiency and economical running. And I think something that, you know, that when it was designed and it was communicated to us is that often a shoe is seen for what is there and not enough is seen for what isn't there. And I think that there's a lot of benefit to be had from a more aggressive void in terms of it working as a major part of the Energy Arc system. So the Energy Arc system is a new shape in which the plate has a curve inside it. It allows energy retention and storage, and as a result more feedback from the shoe itself. And I think what it does as a whole is it saves weight, and it also makes the shoe far more aggressive in terms of its approach to the underfoot feel.
Yeah, amazing. And obviously we've heard a lot about carbon plates in running shoes, but I think it's common knowledge now that most of the benefit from when it comes to efficiency, when it comes to that protective properties of a shoe, is down to the midsole compound itself. So we've got fuel cell again. Is it the same fuel cell that runners can find in the RC Elite V2, or is it a slightly different formulation of it?
So again, it will be our most premium version of the fuel cell. There will always be, you know, slight differences, and the majority of the difference will come in the geometrical placement of the foam itself. So the fact that there's a considerably larger void split across the sides, the fuel cell material itself will remain, you know, the same premium fuel cell that we feel, but the feel underfoot will be entirely different due to the placement of it and you know, and obviously the void itself.
Yeah, I think one of the most striking things to me about the shoe, just from having it in hand today, is that unbelievably prominent rocker geometry. I mean, I've been fiddling with it all day, watching it just rock backwards and forwards on the table. It's quite unbelievable, that level of rocker here, and quite different to what we've got on the RC Elite V2. What, in simple terms, is the benefit of a rocker geometry for someone who may have heard the term thrown around and not really know what it is?
So again, I think it lays down to this idea of running economy and motion, and understanding that the shoe itself, its ultimate goal is to propel you in a way that aids in energy return and ensures that you as a runner are receiving as much feedback from the product, from the shoe as possible. And I think that, you know, the rocker technology or the rocker motion that's becoming more prominent in shoes as they evolve is sort of a testimony to an aid in enhancing the gait cycle and enhancing the efficiency that you can attain, you know, as a runner. And again, speaking to that really aggressive profile that we're trying to get out of a product that is geared towards ultimate results, and not, as you said, a flatter shoe that's focused around, you know, daily comfort, but more results oriented.
So Jake, we've spoken about a lot of the nitty-gritty details that go into the Supercomp Elite V3, but to strip it back to some simple stats before we move on to talking about the upper, we spoke about the cutout element of the outsole to try and save a bit of weight, and we've spoken about the new geometry in the midsole. But what weight are we looking at for the Supercomp Elite V3?
So for the men's sample size US 9.5, it's 221 grams. And the women's sample size 5.5, it's 171 grams. We're looking at a stack height of 32.5 in the forefoot and 37 mils in the heel.
Lovely. Okay, interesting. So you didn't go up to the full 39.5 millimeters of stack in the heel compared to some other super shoes on the market. Was that a conscious decision? I
think it was a conscious decision and it was obviously a scientific based decision of research in the lab and best test results. And I think obviously these go through rigorous testing processes, and I think, you know, it's a testimony to what we'll talk about in the more, which is providing people with more cushioning and more efficiency doesn't necessarily mean just stacking in more shoe, but sometimes it requires you to look at it holistically and say, you know, there's elements of the shoe that we need to look at that are far more beneficial to the runner than just simply putting in as much foam as we can surrounding the carbon plate.
Yeah, so basically we've got quite a considerable update in every way, but the weight has also gone down a little bit from the RC Elite V2.
Which, as we all know, your runners are always looking for something lighter, something slightly faster, and something slightly that's going to get their times down just a little.
Runners want the impossible, right? They want more stack but less weight every single time.
That's the way.
So the only thing that we haven't spoken about yet really with the Supercomp Elite V3 is the upper, which has also dramatically changed from the RC Elite V2. And it seems to have gone to more of like a booty style construction that we might have seen on.
Absolutely, I think what's nice is modularly. It's really nice to see that it's sort of like a single piece, knitted upper. There's no longer split tongue, and you know it sort of sits as a one-piece construction. And it was geared towards having, you know, out of the athlete feedback and out of what we've learned from, you know, previous models, having as streamlined a product, you know, and as possible, but at the same time providing something that's comfortable and provides you with just enough sort of step in stability to really sit comfortably cradled inside the shoe.
So Jake, thanks for taking the time to talk to me today. As you can tell, I love my running shoes, and I'm sure everybody watching this at home will have found what you had to say very insightful. And if you are looking to get your feet in a pair of the New Balance Supercomp Elite V3, you can do so right now at prodirectrunning.com.